Coming up next on All About Android, it's me, Jason Howell. We've got Ron Richards, Florence Ion. It's the three of us tonight. We do a little I.O. recap. We've had a week to think about Google I.O., and Flo can finally share her thoughts on some of the big announcements. Fuchsia gets a home. Might not be the home that you expected, but it's a home nonetheless. Magisk developer now working for Google Security on the Android security team. Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro have broken cover, or have they? Flo doesn't seem to think so. Xiaomi's Modular dream is live, and with it, so is Ron's, plus your email and more next on All About Android.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Manscaped. Father's Day is just around the corner, and you probably need a gift for a hairy dad. Make your dad proud this year and get him and yourself, while you're at it, the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the Lawnmower 4.0. Get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/twit. Hello, welcome to All About Android, episode 526, recorded on Tuesday, May 25th, 2021, your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards.
And I'm Florence Ion.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, guys.
Yes.
Back together again.
In this crazy place we call a studio. Last week, it was, of course, my first time in the studio. But Flo, you were not here, so we could not get the complete effect of all of us. Well, I mean,
all about
you two,
Android.
Yeah, it's like the
all of us. All about Android.
All of us about Android.
Yeah.
All back together.
Welcome back, Flo. It's good to have you back.
Hi, guys.
Flo,
Last
I know
week
you're not
was a
there
disaster.
physically. I know you're not there physically, but how does it feel to be back at Jason's side in that manner?
in a monitor.
I mean, I'm really looking forward to physically coming in. My second shot is on Thursday, so I should be cleared in a few weeks.
Nice.
And then, Jason, I'm going to come and I'm going to get there. And the first thing I'm going to do you guys still have the snack pantry? Do we still have the pantry? Is there still things for me to take home?
Yes, there is.
There is? Okay, because I know for a while there.
I have a child to feed now.
Yeah,
I have a child to feed snacks.
Boy, so you're going to be taking home like 3 tall cups of goldfish, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if we have all the same snacks, but we have some. We definitely cut down on the snacks because of the pandemic and because of the fact that there was no one here and we shouldn't be sharing, during that time.
It's all your fault, Flo.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe Burke on that. It wasn't your fault. You were not at fault for that.
Yeah, Burke.
Back off, Burke.
I'll see you in a few weeks,
Yeah,
Burke.
yeah. Bottle that up. All right. Well, it's good to have you on. We don't have any guests tonight. We thought it'd be fun to just rock it, the three of us. And we're going to start with the news, which is really just wrapping a little bit about last week's Google I.O., kind of the hangover edition. Let's get into the news.
The hangover. It's too bright in here. Too much. Google I.O.
For a second, I thought you were moaning because something wasn't working, and I was like, "Oh, it's going to be one of those episodes."
Me too.
But no, he was doing a bit. Burke was doing a bit about being hungover. Let's see here. Google I.O., obviously, last week we talked all about what we knew because there was the keynote that day. But we had one major thing missing in that discussion, and that thing was actually a person, and that person was actually you, Flo. So we wanted to spend some time kind of looking backwards. We've got a week to we've had a week to kind of marinate in the in the announcements and everything.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. So I don't know, Flo. Let's start with you because.
I would just like to chime in and just say that I purposely did not talk to Flo about I.O. because I wanted to hear all of her thoughts without any bias, without any so just, as if it was last week. I want to hear what Flo thought of the whole event and the announcements.
Excellent. So Flo
Feels like a lot of.
Oh yeah, go.
It feels like a lot of pressure considering last week was awful with my power going out right before the Google I.O. keynote. It was a very stressful day. It was perhaps the most stressful Google I/O I've ever covered I think this is my 8th year that I covered it.
Wow.
So,
and what's interesting about that is it's a Google I/O that you covered not there.
Yeah.
So it's more stressful when you're covering it from afar than if you were actually at an event.
Yeah. And I said this to Andy, but Andy and Notco, it's actually worse than the time I had to cover Google I/O right after breaking a fever. Oh my God. That was a hard one.
Wow.
That was a really hard one. That was pre-corona too.
Just think about how you're going to remember it. Like you'll remember 2021 as the, towards the end of the pandemic power outage I/O.
Oh, what a glorious time.
Which, like, thinking back on it, I think is a perfect way to just button up the last year and a half, last 2 years that we've sort of had. The last I/O that we had was this big shebang. It was this great big event. And honestly, that was an overall, like, great time out. I mean, obviously, I'm a little biased because I got to interview Hiroshi Lockheimer, and that was, like, a pretty darn big deal. So it's hard to... It's kind of hard to follow that up. But this is a developers conference. It's not about flow. And I thought that for a developers conference, Google did a really good job of just servicing the people that it needed to for this particular event. And for anybody that was sort of complaining, oh, it's not like years past. Oh, there's not a lot of big announcements. I don't think that was necessarily it this year. I think that all the announcements were there, which was developers. Here is 100 reasons that you should keep developing for our platforms. And that's 100% what I got from this year's virtual show.
Kind of the focus, I mean, such a heavy focus on all of their advancements, both current and like future looking in artificial intelligence and quantum computing, and I spoke about this on Sunday on Twit, and then of course did the live coverage with Leo. We talked about it then, but it just kind of felt to me like that first hour was like Google is the Arnold Schwarzenegger just standing there,
yes,
guns ablaze and just like, yeah, we're pretty cool. Yeah, check out what we can do.
And it was very hard for me not to. It was very hard for me to watch that because, again, and I did a little bit of reporting on this as well. There were a couple of times that Google kind of tripped over itself with regards to its algorithms and how its algorithms relate to people in the real world. Mm-hmm. And so we're kind of at the point now where Google can keep doing this developers conference. It can keep sort of, it needs to keep doing this, but it's a little harder to keep that veneer up with everything else. And I was kind of pleased that we still got that, even though this was a virtual event too, I have to say. Mm-hmm.
Now you wrote, you posted, well, a lot of things, like you mentioned. You've been writing a lot this past week, but you put up an Android 12 preview.
Yes.
And I'm curious to know kind of what you think about now that we've got this kind of like solidified, kind of set in stone-ish thing called Material U. We don't really have it in its entirety on Android 12 Beta 1 yet, but what do you think about it? And did you like Matthias's shirt?
Yes. That's actually when the battery died on my laptop, was during his presentation, and it was like this whole thing.
His shirt was too much for your laptop battery.
Man, it overwhelmed the power grid.
Yeah.
You can't handle the power of Matthias.
Yeah.
It was such a hellish day. No, I really do appreciate the Material U is going to be absolutely beautiful if it looks like what the renders show us. I'm very disappointed that I don't have anything to play with right now in the actual Android 12 beta. I was really, I kind of went into it. I had so much to catch up on after the event that I didn't realize it wasn't live on the beta. So I had this sort of optimism about it. About 2 days went by. I didn't get to the beta until about Wednesday or Thursday. And by then, when I kind of got into it, I'm looking at all the features that were announced. I'm trying to replicate it to see where it is on the system. And it's like, let's not forget, this is the first beta. It's not really out. There's little breadcrumbs that show you kind of where Google is heading with it. I ended up installing the Android 12 beta on the Pixel 4a 5G, a mouthful. And it looks great with the phone, just the new fonts and the spacing and the sort of coloring that they have going on in like the quick settings and the notification shade. But again, I want to see like that full experience of the theming engine. I want to see what Google is going to like push forth with that. I need that.
I will say on the Material You topic, what was really interesting is because usually my barometer for Google I/O is when I start talking to my friends who are active in tech but aren't Android loyalists like us. And I have one friend who is an iOS user who's actually works in design, kind of stuff for a major financial institution in the US. So not just someone who tinkers, right? Someone who actually guaranteed a large portion of our audience uses an app that he has worked on, right? And he wrote to me on Wednesday or Thursday. He's like, I'm really digging Material You, right? So that's a telling kind of barometer for me that, outside of the Android sphere and within the design sphere, it really took notice on the way that it interacts with both, the apps itself and the user's preferences and gets that customized kind of view. But I agree with you, Flo. It's like, I gotta get my hands on it. I gotta feel it, and not be too biased at the chunkiness. So
I gotta say, it's very interesting the way that they're sort of reworking, because the thing that we really can get a look at right now is the widgets API. You can see like when you go in how it adds the cornered borders to every single widget. And I'm very just sort of, I hope that developers adopt that. The widgets are the thing I'm most excited by, I think, because I think this is a direct play at iOS. I really do. I think it's a direct yet subtle play at iOS, because they came in, they said, look at us, we're going to do widgets better. No, we're not doing that, okay? Android is the one who came with widgets out of the gate. And so that's honestly the thing I'm most excited for. So I need it. I need it.
I'm interested, but I don't know how excited I am about widgets. I fear that I may have my habit around widgets has fallen off for so long that it would be hard for me to get back onto that train. But who knows? Maybe these widgets come out and I'm like, okay, actually that's pretty cool. I'm gonna do what I used to do, which is have one screen in my home screen layout that is like dedicated to widgets or whatever. And I don't know. Maybe I'll end up really enjoying widgets, but I haven't thought about widgets in years at this point. When's the last time I installed a widget on my display?
I actually, what's really funny is that very recently I got a pair of those little $25 Wise cameras to put in my kids' rooms.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I did was install the app and then look to see if there was a widget, because I just wanted to quickly go to it. And they did have a widget. It was god awful ugly. I put it on like the third screen of my phone because it was so big, and I've never used it. I open the app. I do like 4 taps, and for some reason it just doesn't work. It doesn't.
Ron, you mentioned the chunkiness and getting used to the chunkiness. I mean, I've been living with the beta now for a week. The only place where that chunkiness really comes into play is when you interact with your notifications and even more so with the quick settings. And I got to say, I'm already super used to it. It looks like a lot of wasted space. And I suppose from an information density perspective, it kind of technically is. But I've grown to really like it, and in a short amount of time, it's very pleasing to my eye. And
interesting.
I don't find myself like, what a waste.
I will say I will play devil's advocate against the chunkiness, in that the single line with the dot slider that is on the current version of Android, the number of times I'm frustrated because I can't actually get it and move it. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about by being annoyed by the chunkiness. Maybe it is now more reflective of what I'm trying to do as a user.
It certainly makes things more obvious. And I can't remember if we mentioned this on the show last week, or which show it was. I know it came up at some point, but if you're outside on an older Android phone and your display is too dark and your automatic brightness isn't turned on and you need to ramp that up, it can be really hard to find that thing. And there's no question where the brightness level is on this new one.
But in its current implementation, it is still very tedious to try and tap and drag that brightness slider. The same way it was still very tedious to do in the current version of Android where it's just an icon on a line. So there is something going on.
So it's almost like the touch point is still tiny, even though it looks big. It's the touch point is still tiny.
Because if Ron is mentioning it and it's also bothering me, then that's all the anecdotal evidence I need to know that there is something there that needs to be fixed.
For sure. Where there's smoke, there's fire. 100%.
Yeah. Well, definitely interested in seeing how this develops. Going
back to it though, Flo, do you think that I know we've made a lot about this and I've dwelled on it a little, but we know Sundar said that I/O was going to be significant. Mm-hmm. So do you think that what they're doing with Android 12 and the other stuff, especially, which I'm dying to know what you think of the Wear OS stuff, do you think that the significance of this I/O was Sundar being a little hyperbolic in that, or do you think it actually delivered the goods?
Gosh, I should have thought about this before I came on the show, because of course, it was a question that was going to be asked. No. And the thing is, I didn't really.
Go with your gut on this one.
I don't actually. I think there is some credence to that idea, Ron, that it was a little hyperbolic to say that. Remember, Sundar said that during an investor's call. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great time to say that kind of thing. And the thing that he might have been alluding to was the announcements about all the machine learning, the quantum computing.
Totally.
Because that stuff is very flashy. It looks really, it's a bedazzled dog collar, right? It's flashy, it's fun, it's great, it attracts the eye. But for us consumers, it's a complete wait and see. And I know they want us to wait until October now for our Pixel event. That's where all the big stuff is going to come out. But there's a lot of unanswered questions. I want to know what's going to happen to the Nest security lineup. There's been a lot of shake up there, and they had a couple of sessions around it, but there's a lot of stuff in the smart home that still needs to be addressed. There's a lot of stuff in Chrome OS that still needs to be addressed. It felt light for the consumers, heavy for the people putting in the money.
Well, yeah, that's what was kind of interesting to me about that main keynote is even when we're talking this is a developer conference, I feel like in I/O's past, yes, they're throwing a lot to the consumers and they're doing some of this wowie, check out the stuff that we're doing, but they're also calling to the developers through that, even though they have a separate developer keynote. And I didn't get the feeling that there was a whole lot of that in the main keynote this time around. That first block, that first hour was so high level in so many different ways. I don't know how that's really talking to the developer. And then the last part was kind of more of what I expect as a consumer. I suppose some of the Android 12 stuff was developery, but I thought that was a little weird. It felt kind of, and even the news that came out in the developer keynote, some of the big news, we were talking with Mike Wolfson last week on the show, and we asked him, was this a big I/O for developers? And even he was like, yeah. So for a developer event where Sundar was teasing major things, there really didn't seem like there was a whole lot there for developers.
Well, I mean, there wasn't, and there was though. I mean, that's the thing is that and I do believe Mike's a great kind of resource for that. Yeah. But if you look at going back at the notes from yesterday, we're getting a new version of Android, which is always a lot of work for developers, albeit that happens every year and maybe they're used to it, right?
Yeah.
But then also you saw all the Wear OS stuff, which we haven't talked about yet, which we're going to get to. But you're talking about Flutter, Jetpack, Firebase, there were incremental changes to all the things developers use. So while it wasn't like the year that Kotlin burst on the scene or anything like that, there was definitely evolution that impacts developers, I think. And I'm saying this is not a developer, so maybe I'm full of it, but
yeah, you're right. Yeah, I should as if we haven't said it enough times on this show in the past anyways, but I'm obviously not a developer either, so who am I to like make that declaration?
Yes. And for that reason, we know that you should support your devs.
Yes, exactly. Because they know. Mm-hmm. They know whether they were happy or sad with it. And maybe this is sad. I'm really sad.
I'm really sad.
Are you sad with I.O.? If it brings a tear to your eye, send us an email, AAA@twit.tv. We want to know all about it. You keep bringing up the Wear because we do need to talk about it. We were so curious last week when we were talking about the Wear OS Samsung Fitbit thing, about what you thought or, kind of where you were at on this flow. What were your thoughts there?
Okay, I'm going to drop a link in our little Slackies here. I just want to shout out my colleague, Victoria Song. She wrote a really great opinion piece about just kind of like she wrote a great editorial about what Wear OS needs to do to kind of not blow this chance. And I agree with a lot of the points that she made, which is that it's going to be really interesting to see how Samsung and Google are going to coexist with each other in this like one line, because I'm very I don't know. Yeah, I need to see how's that going to work, because the watch I got right now is on Tizen OS. Am I going to get converted to Wear OS? Am I going to be asked to upgrade? I was going to say evolve because I was playing Pokemon earlier. Evolve my smartwatch. Am I going to be asked to upgrade my smartwatch because Samsung won't send the software update sort of thing? So yeah, there's a lot of questions that I still have on the mind. I'm also just sort of like, no kidding, no duh, of course. This makes the most sense, right? Because why not just ally yourself with what's working? If the popular crowd at school is going to remain popular, you might as well just find your way in there to get through high school until you're out of there. Right. And home free.
If you can't, so, I mean, the old wartime strategy, if you can't beat them, join them.
Exactly. So, and Samsung has done a freaking great job with their smartwatches. And right now I'm shopping for an LTE smartwatch from Samsung because I'm already just like, it's okay that it's not the same apps and all this other stuff. I'm excited. But again, we'll see if Samsung's going to try and ask me for more money out of this, because I'm already giving you money. Don't ask, don't ask me to upgrade.
I'll be curious to see if Samsung ends up doing any sort of flashing of a firmware update or a trade-in thing. Something tells me that's not going to happen, but I could be wrong. I mean, it's totally a guess.
Yeah.
But I just don't see Samsung being like, and if you have all these watches, you're going to get it. Maybe they will. I mean, that would be awesome of them to do. Given that the new thing that they come up with is actually better than what Samsung's already been doing, which, by the way, they've been doing a pretty darn good job with so far. So, this is, we didn't really have this last week, but there's some examples. That I have an XDA article. Is it XDA? No, it's 9 to 5 Google, of some parts of the new Wear OS UI and some of the changes.
But that's not the problem. That's not the problem with Wear OS. That's the thing. It's not the UI. It's the hardware. It's always been the hardware. I wanted to just bring up one more point about the Wear OS just very quickly, which again was in my colleague's article, which is that it's going to be really chaotic to fold Fitbit, Tizen, and Wear OS into this one unified platform where everybody is just supposed to log on. So let's see how easy they make it for us. Again, maybe I shouldn't buy that LTE smartwatch. Maybe I should wait.
That's what I was thinking. If you're really in the market for a smartwatch, the next Samsung Galaxy Watch is supposedly going to have this, and I don't know how far off that is. 3-4 months ish, something like that.
Do we think it's going to go that soon?
I don't know. I had been seeing before Google I/O. I had been seeing rumors that were pointing to sometime in the next 3 or 4 months. But I don't know how. This rumor again. So who the heck knows? But yeah, I'd be certain of that before you drop your money down on a new smartwatch, because you know if you got a smartwatch and then a few months later a new Samsung one rolls out with the new OS, you'd be kicking yourself and angry about it. So might be worth waiting
cheap.
A couple of months.
They're still like $250, $300. It's not cheap for the LTE one.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Lots to look forward to. Very curious to see how that plays out. But at least, once again, this in some ways, this was the Google I/O where Google said, it's not like we care. We do care. I know a lot of you think that maybe we don't care about things, but we care. See? We're redoing Android 12 to look different. See, we're changing Wear OS. Later in the show, we're going to talk about, we've got a dramatic new design for the Pixel 6.
Jason, you're so right. It really was the We Care keynote in more ways than just the hardware and the software that they were talking about. It really was we really care about people and the environment.
Yeah, we do.
Gender is a construct, and we care about this, and we care about that.
Counter to the news you've been reading, we do care. We care.
We care.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't need to spend more time on that because we have talked that to death on this show and others.
I had to make one little comment.
Oh, absolutely. Go for it.
No, that was the comment I made.
All right. Well, good. I'm happy you got that in there then before I could cut you off. But I'm only cutting you off because it's time to take a break.
Yes.
And then we're going to get into more news. And then later,
take a break to talk.
Hardware.
You're going to take a break to talk about the other things you're cutting off, huh?
I see what you did there, Ron. Thank you for the easy segue.
Great.
I don't know how I missed that one. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Manscaped. What are you cutting off? Well, Manscaped can help.
Be careful. Be careful.
Yeah, do be careful. Be choosy about what you choose to cut off. Because nothing says bad day quite like a slip of the razor when trimming. Am I right? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You want to be careful down there. Trust me, Manscaped is the only men's brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and just launched their Lawnmower 4.0. And, Father's Day, right around the corner. So maybe you want to surprise your dad with a sleek, well-designed, and optimized body hair trimmer that says, your nether region will thank you, Dad. Maybe you want to do that. Well, you can. Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. You might ask, how is this Lawnmower 4.0 different from other trimmers? There's lots of trimmers out there. How does this set itself apart? Well, this upgraded trimmer includes a multifunction on-off switch that you can engage a travel lock on, so it's perfect for throwing it in the suitcase. If your dad or you do a lot of traveling, you can take this with you. It also gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed, so you get a more precise shave. So now you can shave in the dark if you want to. It's really up to you, and that's probably between you and you. So keep it to yourself, but if that's what you want to do, go for it. The Lawnmower 4.0 even allows you to customize your trim through additional guard lengths with sizes 1 through 4. So you're not locked into a single length. You can choose, or you can get creative. Use all 4. Come up with a nice design. The new wireless charging system uses electromagnetic induction, and that actually helps the battery length last longer. And by the way, if you've ever seen like a nose bushes sticking out of your dad's nose, well, the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer is the best nose hair trimmer on the market. It's the perfect gift for you if you've got those nose hairs. Maybe you aren't even being honest with yourself about those nose hairs. But let me tell you, just because you don't see them when you're out and about talking to people doesn't mean other people don't see them. Other people totally see them, and you want to do something about that. Maybe you see it in your dad. I don't know. I'm just giving you ideas here. I'm spitballing. They also have other amazing products like cologne, crop mop, ball wipes, crop reviver, ball toner, crop preserver, ball deodorant. So many to choose from. Another great reason to love Manscaped is that their products are cruelty-free, paraben-free, dye-free, and vegan. So, maybe that will, maybe your dad's going to appreciate that too. Get 20% off and free shipping by going to manscaped.com/twit. That's 20% off plus free shipping. All you got to do is go to manscaped.com/twit and get your dad a gift that they will use. And we thank Manscaped for their support of All About Android. Never a dull moment on this show. And to that end, it's time to talk about Fuchsia, which is definitely, it's your beat, whether you like it or not, Flo. So this is your story.
And yet it's really hard to spell. It took me like 3 times to spell it in Slack today.
Yes.
Gosh.
You got to put the CH
Fuchsia.
before the S.
Fuchsia.
Mm-hmm.
Fuchsia.
Fuchsia.
Mm-hmm.
Fuchsia.
So as we mentioned on the show a few weeks ago, there were rumors going around, and we've been rumoring about this thing for years. We haven't really been sure what it was going to be used for. I thought it was going to be like a Chrome Android hybrid thing. No, it turns out that Fuchsia is actually for the smart displays. So this is actually exciting news, though, when you think about it. So the first gen Nest Hub is getting an update that's going to move it from the Linux-based Cast OS to Fuchsia OS.
Ooh.
Right? There's not going to be any UI or UX differences between the two operating systems because it was built using Flutter. Cue the Flutter advertisement coming in, the developers clapping. Good job, Flutter. You did what you needed to do.
Yeah, no kidding.
Honestly, great flex from Google on that one. I just have to say, just to be like, use this and do this. It's great. Now, Google Engineering Director Chris McKillop, who's working on Fuchsia, shared on Twitter, 22 years ago, I started on a journey. Tonight, it becomes real. He points to Pink, which was an OS project started by Apple in 1988, which then became Telgent. Purple was
So
hold on.
Okay.
I got to go back here. Sorry, I missed something, Jason.
It's okay. I can explain this. I can
I'm so
explain it. I can
sorry.
set it up a little
I'm
bit for
sorry
you.
I butchered that.
Don't worry about
I was
it.
trying to save it.
It is a little confusing. This was just a random
My fault.
thing I came across on Twitter when I was kind of researching this story. He's instrumental to the development of Fuchsia. He's been working on it since the beginning. But he was kind of setting the stage. Someone had asked him why Fuchsia. And he said, well, Pink was an OS project started by Apple in 1988, which later became Telgent. Purple was the code name of the original iPhone OS. They both had a large impact on my life. Therefore, when you mix the colors, you get Fuchsia. He was on the original iPhone team. He was also a member of the original WebOS team. So this is apparently, like, I just thought that was interesting that he made the comment. 22 years ago, he started on the journey that has led to today, which is Fuchsia rolling out on a 2-year-old Nest Hub. I guess I still don't understand how 22 years has led to this moment, but he seems really excited about it.
It's a breakthrough in being able to work in this environment that is between two platforms, essentially.
I suppose so. Okay.
I mean, if everything he's been working on has been coming to this, then that makes sense. I don't necessarily think that all of those moments add up to Fuchsia, but his perspective and his experience, and I'm excited for him. Good job.
Well,
22
absolutely.
years is a long time.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't mean to downplay it.
Jason,
I was just trying to I guess where my confusion was is like 22 years to lead up to this. Immediately I jumped to like, wait a minute. So is Fuchsia the thing that you thought of 22 years ago, or it's just the next thing? You know what I mean?
It's the sum total of the experience.
Yeah.
But also let's put this through the All About Android time converter.
Okay. We'll shove it in there.
That's basically about 1,100 episodes of All About Android.
Okay. All right.
Because if it took us 10 years to do about 526, 22 years, about 1,100 or so. So imagine doing another decade of this, and that's how we could get to fuchsia.
Okay, so. You put it in that number. Yeah. No, I realized I came off as like dismissing what he was saying. I was just trying to understand it. Like that is a long time, and yet I'm still confused about confused about fuchsia. Like I'm still confused about fuchsia. So when he says this was a big moment, like I don't take that away from him at all, but what and why? Like what?
You're asking
still,
what
is fuchsia and why this instead of what was going on before? I still don't understand.
We're not agreeing on the moment. Like what is the moment for him that's also supposed to be the moment for us consumers? My understanding, based on nothing scientific, just completely my own conjecture, is that this is finally the interface that's going to fix what I perceive to be the existing problems with the smart displays and this sort of like touch UI that exists right now in Google Smart Home.
Okay.
Yeah. My understanding is that whatever is happening with Cast OS right now, No. I need to mute
by
this
right
thing.
now, you mean like right now that speaker's going off.
I need to mute. I'm so bad at muting these things. Okay, so as I was saying, super rude.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing. I touched the screen and it did nothing, and that's the problem. You touch the screen and it does nothing.
Oh.
It's a very voice-based interface that relies on the casting mechanism, which is, in my opinion, a very like simplistic way to handle everything that streaming can do now.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping whatever this Fuchsia OS is, just makes it so these smart displays are actually little hubs that they're marketed as. Because the Nest Hub is not really a hub. Okay, I'm not going to it and touching the screen to do things. What I'm doing is putting widgets on my home screen on my Android phone. And that's my hub for my smart home. So,
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, no doubt this is a big moment because we have been hearing about fuchsia and confused about fuchsia for the past 4 and some odd years. It's good to see that there's actually some sort of consumer movement here. I'm interested. Like it's interesting to me that their first kind of launch of this is with an older device. I don't know. I'm curious. I'm still very curious about the kind of machinations of where we're at with fuchsia right now.
I mean, what I think is interesting is I think the idea of a OS that is particularly designed for these types of interfaces, like it's not quite Android. Yeah. It's a different kind of thing, right? So it makes sense that they would need their own thing. To Flo's point, whatever's going on Cast OS clearly is the older kind of not as great kind of option. And if you're going to do it, don't do it on it's kind of like put it out there quietly on the older devices and see what happens and get data and learn and then put it on the big new shiny device this fall. Right.
Okay. That's definitely one way to do it. Yeah. And that kind of falls in line with what we've seen as far as kind of their leading up to this moment. It's been kind of a slow drip, and it's like, now we're putting it out there, open source, giving people access to it to contribute, whatever. Now we're doing this. Now it's on the first gen Next Hub.
And that's why Google I/O was a little frustrating because I got a lot of lip service about what's so great about the assistant and everything it can do, but when it comes down to it, y'all, those voice commands, not my preferred method.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I would agree.
All right. Well, moving on. John Woo, the developer of Magisk, say that 3 times fast. Yeah. Which is arguably one of the most important modern root and modding frameworks for Android, is actually leaving his job at, ironically, Apple to work for, ironically, Google's Android's platform security team. This is a very ironic move on multiple levels. It does call into question his ability to continue developing Magisk while working for Android security. Many people took to social media to voice their worry and in some cases sabotage my employment in the name of saving the community, or so he said.
Words, yeah.
John took to Twitter to quiet speculation about whether or not he would continue with Magisk or not. And he said, please, in all caps, put down your tinfoil hats and pitchforks and allow me to handle the situation privately. I will update you once there is a conclusion. And Magisk is open source. So if he's asked to step away, it'll continue to live on without him. So it won't kill the project. Just for some more background on John Woo, he began at Apple in 2019 as an intern and got hired full-time in early 2020, which means that this guy is a kid. And I feel bad for him that he got thrown into the maelstrom. But there is an old tried and true practice that happens. And we see it with apps themselves. How often have we seen a very useful app that then Android either acquires the company or quietly develops that same function to kill it off? And it's also something you've seen in the press. I've seen a lot in my industry and stuff like that, where you see someone who's very vocal or very successful on their own, and a big player in the industry then hires them to get him. Why have him be out there on his own? Have him work for us or work with us.
Right.
So this is very good for John Woo, who clearly started his career at Apple, and now if he's been working on a root and modding framework for Android, clearly he had an affinity for Android, and he just got the dream job for Google, and hopefully social media doesn't ruin it for him. Personally, that's what I think. I don't know, Jason. What do you think? You're closer to all this stuff.
Yeah, no, I think it's horrible that anybody in the in the community around Magisk, which Magisk has a huge community. It's got a lot of users. Really, from my understanding, kind of gained a lot of attention through XDA. So, John is one of the most well-known kind of contributors to XDA because of Magisk. So there's a lot of people, if you're rooting and you're altering and customizing your phone on a root level, chances are you're dabbling with Magisk in some way or another. It's a really great tool. So the dude knows his stuff. It makes perfect sense that Google would want someone with his intelligence and his knowledge around breaking the Android security system in order to get it to do all these things, having them actually on his team. But I think it's just so unfortunate that anyone in the community would be so bent out of shape over the possibility that this person who is instrumental to this tool that they use all the time might not be developing their favorite tool anymore, that they would want to sabotage his unemployment. It's ridiculous and shameful. I think that's very lame. But I'm not surprised, because the internet works like that, unfortunately. So
frustrating.
Yeah. But wish him well. That's awesome. That sounds like a great opportunity. I mean, and he certainly worked hard to get there. So Google, I think, has a really great person working for them now as a result of all that hard work. So we do have some hardware news, and that's coming up here next. Boy, do we ever have some hardware news. So this was actually news last week, but last week, some of the news today in this week's show is a little bit older than a week, because last week was so dedicated to Google I/O. But we couldn't not talk about this, because we definitely spend time talking about what's going on in the Pixel world. And this also really, I feel, ties into what we were talking about earlier with Google I/O and Google showing that it cares. Android 12 looks a lot different. The Wear OS thing, and then I feel like this is the third prong in that. And mind you, Google hasn't officially announced any of this yet, which means they're probably going to do it soon, because it's all leaking and everything. It seems to be the way they do it. But the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro, so these are two devices that have been leaked now. These designs have been leaked by multiple sources. It started about a week and a half ago. I didn't write it down off the top of my head. I can't remember the first source of the leak. Max Weinbach, who's a friend of the show, confirmed that based on his sources. Max is very spot on. Now we've got On Leaks confirming. So there's multiple different reputable sources that have been going to these very reputable leakers saying this is the design for the next Pixel. Now, keep in mind what you're looking at are renders. They're based on, from my understanding, they're based on the designs that were shared with them. The people that were putting this out did not want to expose the sources, so they had these design mock-up renders made based on those as sources. So this is not the actual image that was shared, but this is a version of that image created by someone else to kind of remove the breadcrumb trail. If that makes sense. Details. And so first of all, let's start with the design. Looking at this, what do you guys think? I'm really curious because it's very different. Like the Pixel 6, if this is the design, looks way different than any of the Pixels before. It kind of has a little bit of that Panda quality, which I kind of dig. The camera bump is like a bar that goes from one side to the other, protrudes out. So it's a very symmetrical camera bump, which I think if I read that, I would hate it. But looking at it, I don't hate it at all. I'm curious to know what you guys think.
I like it.
I do.
It sounds like Flo is on the fence, but I think it is bold. It is different. And this is the kind of stuff we wanted to see at I.O., to be honest with you.
Yeah, totally agree. What do you think, Flo?
It looks nothing like what Google is doing with its product lineup, though. It's completely...
As of right now.
That is
why wouldn't this be the first step in a new direction?
Because it doesn't even match the interface that they're going for. They're going for this very like soft, mattish look, which you're getting a lot with like the latest Pixels. The Pixels keep getting rounder and rounder. I just don't see Google going to like a rectangle situation because it's just, yeah.
Interesting.
That back looks like something maybe Oppo would do, maybe Xiaomi. It does not look like something Google would do. Not even those colors. That bold orange. Google's not using that right now.
They use it for they use the mint for the button, right? So why they've used orange for the button in the past?
They have had that orange in a color.
Yeah, but that's
a
bold orange.
It is a very bold. No, there is nothing not bold about this design. This design, if this is a true design, this is like hey, we're Google, we're coming out swinging. We've got new ideas. That's what
it looks like. It looks like what is his name? It looks like Bob from Black Hole.
Bob from Black Hole.
Do you remember that movie, The Black Hole? Hang on, I'll show you.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Right?
Okay, I'm sure Burke's working on it.
No, I got it here. Burke, I'll give it to you. It's going to be.
That's an interesting comparison.
There you go. Yeah. So it looks like, for those of you who are old, Disney put out a science fiction movie called The Black Hole. And in it, there was a little robot. I'm sorry, not Bob, Vincent. His name was Vincent.
Okay.
There was another version named Bob, but the one I'm looking at is Vincent. And there it is.
Oh man,
it really looks like that phone, doesn't it?
That is an interesting
Flo is
comparison.
not amused by any of this, but Jason is.
But Bob was the trash can one, says Victor.
Yeah.
Yes, Bob was the trash can one. Yep.
Yeah.
Flo, your homework is to go watch The Black Hole because
I wonder if it's a movie that holds up to the.
No, it does not. It does not.
No, I'm sure it doesn't. I have to imagine it doesn't. Okay, so let's continue down this road.
Wait, you know what? Though? It looks like this one.
Okay, Burke's going to pull something up. He's going to get it up there. I have faith that Burke is going to deliver on this. It looks like this one.
It's Maximilian.
Yeah, that's
this one.
Vincent.
Or this one.
I have no idea what you're pointing to right now.
Which one?
Never
the
mind.
one on the right?
Oh. There we go.
Bob. There's Bob.
Oh, okay.
On the left. Bob is on the left. Vincent is on the right. Bob is the trash can one. Vincent is the little more elegant one. So,
but the best one is this guy.
Yeah, the phone doesn't look at all like that, though.
No.
That's next year's Pixel.
Okay. So if you go to store.google.com, you can look at all the products Google currently has for sale, and you will see nowhere on there is there room for a phone that looks like this.
Okay.
Nowhere. There's nowhere it would fit into any of this product lineup.
That is totally true. I totally hear what you're saying. It doesn't fit anything currently. But
why isn't it the first swing of a new era?
There you go.
No, they're not. Nope. Nope.
Wow. All right.
Okay.
Let's mark
We
it.
got
May
to
25th.
mark this.
We got to mark it. Everybody in the in the Discord, in the chat, everybody out there listening, remember that Flo is drawing a line saying this absolutely is not happening.
Okay,
I'm not countering that. I'm just saying if it happens, I'm open to it. That's all.
I'm going to go ahead and say I think this is the design. So Flo says this is not the final design. Jason says it is. Ron, you care to place a decision?
No, I'm my position is that if it is, I'm cool with it.
Ron, if it is, he's cool with it.
And my mic's
If it
on.
is,
Look
I'm
at that.
cool with it.
Oh, Burke, what do you think?
Well, I didn't know my mic was on, but since it is, I agree with Ron. Flo's logic is sound though.
Yeah, it's a really good
But
point.
it's a good
that I had
looking
not
phone, but it
considered.
doesn't look like anything else they have.
I also like the fact that Burke usually turns his mic off, and right now his mic was on, which means that he just sits there and shouts at us.
He does
And we
actually.
can't hear.
I can confirm he does. While I'm doing this, I hear him over there, but I don't hear him in my ear, so I never really understand what he says.
It's like he sees somebody in the audience reacting in
sorry.
real time.
I love it. No,
yelling
it's
at
great.
us.
Keep doing it. Okay.
Those damn people.
They don't know what they're talking about. Clearly, it's pronounced fuchsia.
Flo, I think you make a very, very good point, and I had not considered that. I'm curious to see where this leads. I think it's interesting, however, that we've got multiple leakers who are usually pretty spot on with this, like agreeing with each other and saying, "Yeah, my source shows that too." So we'll see. I'm really curious. Like this reminds me of when we saw the Nexus 6P. The 6P and the designs of that leaking and going, oh, there's no way that's the Nexus. That's ugly. Like, there's no way Google would do that. And it ended up being it. It ended up being the one.
Which was the Pixel with the two-tone color thing going
That was the
on
Pixel
with it.
2 was the Panda.
Yeah.
Was the
Yeah.
Panda.
Yeah, so it's not like they haven't done stuff in the past that's on the wackier
Right.
side.
Okay. The Pixel 2 thing is a little more, but I just don't know, guys.
I mean, that
With
wasn't
all
as
this
extreme as
Nest
this.
stuff going on, I'm just seeing a renewed focus on softness. The UI is the new Material U is very soft. It's like everywhere you go shop for clothing, everything is soft. So it's, I'm just going by.
No, it's
fair.
a totally valid point. Real quick before we transition away, I just want to say that if this is true, then there's some other details that we know, and I don't need to rattle through everything, but I think the main thing is that the Pixel 6 Pro is large, 6.67 inch to the Pixel 6 being 6.4 inch. Both have in-display fingerprint sensor. The larger one has 2 speakers, the smaller one. Let's see here. Oh, and the camera array. So we've been begging for Google to upgrade its camera array for so long. If this is to be believed, the 6 Pro will have a pretty sizable spec and camera bump here. 50 megapixel sensor supposedly. Again, this is all leaked information. 8 megapixel periscope lens with a 5x optical zoom, wide angle lens, color correction sensor. Who the heck knows if that's what we're going to see? But interesting nonetheless. These 6 would have one fewer cameras on it. So I don't know if that's the periscope lens or whatever it is. What's that, Burke? Oh, I know. It's a sizable. Yes, that is a sizable camera bump.
He's just yelling.
studio?
I just love that he's just yelling into the void.
I'm
It's
the only one that can
fantastic.
hear, Burke. You guys can.
It's the greatest. We kind of heard it. We kind of a little bit, but it's fascinating. It's like Burke listening to sports talk radio, yelling at the radio.
Yeah, I know.
You should hear me when I
Totally.
watch TV.
I can't imagine.
That's
Can't
exactly
imagine.
what it is. I should also mention one last thing before we move off of this. There in Android 12, there's a few clues. Android 12, there is code in there that does point to the 5A, 5G, of course. We know that's coming sometime in the next couple of months. The Pixel 6, the Pixel 6 Pro, or at least the code names for these, and a 4th code-named Passport, which is expected to be a Pixel foldable. That's me being like confused. Like, what the heck are we in store for? I don't know. Anyways,
I can't wait.
No, it's not. It's probably just legacy code. Come on, guys. Let's go to something logical, please.
okay,
Sure.
go to something
How about
logical,
this?
Ron.
How about the bit of news that wasn't I/O last week that got me so excited, so much that I texted the both of you with my excitement.
Yes, you did.
But the rising like a phoenix from the ashes on the shores of China, Xiaomi has filed some patents that show the modular smartphone dream might not be dead at all.
Oh, thank you, Xiaomi.
Let's Go Digital took the patents and created some renders based off them to show it off. And what you see here is you've got 3 modules. The upper module contains the motherboard and a camera system. The mid module is the battery, and the bottom module forms the bottom of the phone, much like the legs of Voltron.
Yeah.
Listen, you all thought I was crazy for loving the modular phone concept, but there's something to it, and Xiaomi knows it. Xiaomi also was awarded a patent for a dual slider smartphone and rotating pop-up camera weeks ago, which means that Xiaomi might be taking the role left behind by LG in making the bananas phones and pushing the limits of R&D and new concepts on how phones work. And I'm all for it. Sign me up, Xiaomi. I'm in.
Sign me up, except we can't sign up because we live in the United States and we never get Xiaomi phones. But hey, continue doing your unique stuff, you Xiaomi. I think I'm interested. I mean, because what's interesting to me about this concept is that the modular aspect isn't like here's a base and then you snap modules onto it. From my understanding, it's like the modules that like this top module is the top portion of the phone. Like maybe I'm misunderstanding that, but it's just looks really interesting.
Well, yeah, but what's interesting is that like if this is true, you have a snappable modular battery, which basically gives you that removable, replaceable battery element, so you can carry a bunch of these battery pucks with you. You know, the question is that like, you know, having the motherboard and the camera system be in the top module really, ties you into that camera that you want, unless, the idea you want flexibility in the camera. I'm curious if you change out those 2 modules, does it still know, like, is that all the RAM? Is that all the memory? Is that all your, like, does it know that it's your phone, or is it a new phone once you snap that one on? So,
good question. Yeah. Good question. But it's neat. Who the heck knows, though? It's patents. Who knows if we'll ever see anything.
Yeah.
But I like it nonetheless.
Yeah.
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 Same goes for Samsung.
Remember when Hugo Barra was supposed to bring Xiaomi to the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun.
He actually just, by the way, only because you mentioned Hugo Barra.
Yeah.
He just left
I saw that
Facebook.
last week.
Yeah. He's hopping around all the big tech companies.
Well, I suppose good for him.
Yeah.
Hey, you know who else is good for? This next little piece of news is really good for fans of foldables like Ron.
Like Ron.
Me.
Right, Ron? Yep.
Crazy phones.
Yep.
Bring it on.
But this is exciting because, look, this is Samsung. So Samsung actually has more foldable plans in the works, and it showed off just a couple of little prototypey things going on during a Display Week exhibit that was going on last week.
I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah. So at this Display Week exhibit, they exhibited a bifold design phone, which is their first S foldable that opens up to a 7.2 inch display. I don't, I could see it happening. Kind of reminds me of that Note that we had that one time, the Note Edge, remember?
Yeah.
Except instead of the edge just stopping where it does, it can extend a little bit. So I could see that happening. Some might also describe it kind of like a Z Fold 2, but with another display to fold. So you think about it that way. Now, Samsung showed off a slidable OLED concept. So again, it's there, the concept, it's happening. Also showed off 2 larger concepts, a 17-inch foldable OLED from tablet to laptop display. And Berg was actually kind of previewing that while we were talking just a second ago. Again, these are just concepts for now, but some exciting things. The foldable OLED looks like a larger Surface Duo. I imagine that it would have a lot of what Samsung's already built into its tablet UI. So I guess kudos to Samsung for having some thought to sort of plan for that down the line. I imagine it's all going to work out for them there. I can imagine a little Dex solution or something like that
right.
that they would market along with it. So this is exciting. It means that maybe by the time, 90% of tech journalists are vaccinated, that there will be a lot of cool things to go hands-on with. So
how many more years until foldables are mainstream? What do you think?
It's happening right now. We're in the process.
Mainstream, though? Like,
I don't know if they're mainstream. They're still not mainstream.
Hold on. What do you mean mainstream? Because if you're
mainstream, like you see them on TV.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like
but
you know
will see
people
them
that
on
don't
TV
work.
If Samsung's advertising on like the latest episode of whatever,
like
Zack Snyder presents.
Like,
so,
I realize you can go into a store and you can buy them, so that's a certain level of mainstream.
yes.
But at what point, like, I don't know where I'm going with this. I just feel like obviously there's a lot of energy behind this.
Ubiquitous. Like, remember the electric vehicle, okay, fine, the hybrid, I should say, because electric cars are still kind of working their way up there. But when hybrids first started to become a thing, right? It was just like the Prius, the Honda.
Right. And now totally, hybrids are mainstream. Yeah. Electric vehicles, to a certain degree, are pretty darn mainstream at this point. It's not that everybody has them, but everybody knows someone that has one. You know what I mean? Like, there's a certain, cliff that you go over where you realize, wow, this is no longer just that obscure thing.
Years. 2 years. Listen, we are all working our way up from this economy right now, and I am very curious to see if the prices are going to go down.
Yeah,
I could see some future. Well, I could see some future where maybe manufacturers are focusing their mid-range phones. They're a little more powerful, like the Pixel 4As or whatever of the market. Mm-hmm. And then the high-end flagship phones are like these, foldable ideas, these new technologies that you can have in your pocket. That's sort of what I'm envisioning for my future.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm with you in that future. I want that to be the reality. I want, a phone that you fold up and put in your pocket and all that sort of stuff. But as much as I want it to be mainstream and I want it to be there, the prices aren't coming down. I don't know how they do. The volume isn't there. I know, Samsung isn't spending money to force it in the hands of people on TV for product placement, but neither did Apple 10 years ago. They just started, like when something goes mainstream when culture wants it to, and I don't think culture wants it to yet. So
that's a fair point. The thing about culture, that's a really good one, Ron. Culture's not there yet. We're still working on that. As soon as, look, guys, I hate to say it, but as soon as one of those TikTokers throws a really big party, I think they're doing New York this weekend. As soon as somebody there has a foldable phone, that's when it's going to come into the culture zeitgeist. So
I hope not either.
It all comes down to TikTok, does it? Oh, Burke's showing off that the large bezels are being used to hide an S Pen as well. So there's that.
Spen.
That's
the name of my next dog.
Spen. I'm going to name my next dog Bixby. And it's going to hate me forever.
That's actually a really nice name.
It is.
It's a cute name.
Yeah, for a dog.
Or Dex. Dex is a good name for a dog. Wow, Samsung has really good dog name products.
Yeah.
It's true.
They're not cat names either. They don't work with cats, but a dog name. Sure.
I could name my dog Tyson. That's pretty cool.
Spen, where are you, Spen? Spen. Yeah. Come here, Spen.
Dex. Dex, leave Spen alone. Oh, damn it, Bixby, get over here.
Galaxy Z Fold 2. Galaxy Z Fold 2. No, that doesn't work. Dang it. Okay,
so
not every name.
That's the lizard inside the house.
Love it. We just cracked their code. All right. Up next, some of your emails. AAA at twit.tv, 347-SHOW-AAA. Those are the things that you can use in whatever way you choose to send us your messages, and we'll read them on the show, like this one that Flo's going to read.
Here we go, Flo.
You had a good rhyming rhythm at the beginning of that.
I know.
Then it got, so.
Yeah. You missed the opportunity to completely do what everybody else does with my name, which is rhyme it with everything.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
What does Flo rhyme with?
You know.
Flo.
Row.
Go.
So.
All right.
Boat. No. Sort of. That's
I
when you're
know.
stretching. That's when you're like, oh, I've run out of all
Go.
the O
It
names, so I
rhymes
gotta.
with go.
Go.
All right,
Flo.
here we go. This actually comes from Juan, so we're going to stop rhyming here. And instead, we're going to read Juan's email. Juan writes in, I recently got a Xiaomi Poco X3 Pro. Really happy with the device. Best money I've put on a phone. As a geeky guy, did a lot of research to see the pros and cons. Saw most people ditching the plastic design. To be honest, yes, it's plastic, but feels really good in the hands. I like big phones. Performance is awesome, and the 120 hertz is eye candy for me. I just wish you guys gave the brand a bit more of on the spot. I have from.
Yeah, sorry, I
Excuse
meant to edit this, and I obviously forgot.
It's all right. I have everything from the Mi Band to the air compressor, router, scale smart bulbs, scooter, etc. Xiaomi is really a brand like no other, pushing pretty much a device for any category in the tech space and allows you to enjoy technology without investing much. A tremendous hug from Colombia. Thank you, Juan from Colombia. I really appreciate your letter to us. But I have to say, part of the reason that we don't cover a lot of Xiaomi on the phone, besides the announcements, is because we don't have access to their stuff very easily.
Yeah.
I have ordered some really cool Xiaomi home products, though, through AliExpress. And I agree with you. They have some very cool little things. Let's see, what do I have? I have a little pen screwdriver that is automatic. You just push a button, put a little screw head on it, whatever, Phillips, flathead. I think it even has some for like different smart home or smartphone, whatever adapter that you need for the screw. Very great little thing, but I had to wait like 5 weeks for it to arrive. So, maybe we should plan a sort of AliExpress shopping trip at All About Android, get in some Xiaomi products. Maybe we should have Mateo put together a care package for us in the coming months or something akin to that. Because I do agree with you, Juan. It's very important for us to look at what Xiaomi's doing overseas because eventually that will make its way and, kind of inform some of the smartphone design that we get in the U.S. So thank you for writing in, Juan. And I apologize. I know it's a big world, but we only have access to so many phones here.
Yeah.
We would love to.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
clearly, I was just singing Xiaomi's praises. So, unfortunately, international law.
Yeah, and it's because we haven't had Mateo on because of the coronavirus. People haven't been traveling to the studio to come bring us cool phones that we could see, so yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say the Poco series is pretty solid. So I would love to play around with those phones. Just don't get the opportunity to.
I am going to try and buy some more Xiaomi home goods, though, from AliExpress because they're pretty great.
Nice. All right, Ron, you got the next one.
All right, next email comes in from Josh, who says, I have to disagree with you guys on Android tablets. And I'm angry.
Okay.
No, I just added the angry. Josh says, I have two different versions of the Lenovo tablets that Flo reviewed previously. Dropped my first one and thought I broke it, so I bought the other one. I like the idea that he thought he broke it, so he just bought another one. Turns out the first one was more angry that I dropped it and now works fine. I did slightly break the other one by dropping it. Really not this accident prone. I don't know, Josh. It
sounds like it.
Yeah,
it sounds kind of like you might
pretty
be.
some butterfingers over there when it comes to the tablets, Josh. I love you, but butterfingers. Anyway, so Josh says, I find gaming, reading, and even watching Pluto TV, Netflix, YouTube, and so on are much better experience than my Samsung phone. Lego Legacy Heroes Unboxed is awesome on a tablet, but a tiny mess on the phone, in my humble opinion, which is why I am so sad to see a dearth of tablets from anyone but Samsung and Amazon. And in a final word, I know Ron loves rugged phones, but what about the rugged tablets? The Panasonic Toughbook S1 Enterprise tablet, for example. So Josh,
there it is.
Great, that I have seen the rugged tablets, and when you see them in the wild, you see someone working in construction or logistics or something like that using them, they do look like pretty cool. But here's the thing: is that I don't know who you're disagreeing with on Android tablets because dude, I totally agree with you. I love my tablet. I still use my Asus, and I'm bummed that Asus stopped making them. But I read comics on it. I watch video. I do, tablets are awesome, and I'm with you. I wish there was more. I was hoping I/O would have some announcement of hardware from Google, including a new tablet that was the top of the line, Pixel tablet again. But I don't know. It's a bummer. I do agree with you that the tablet space has gotten so boring, dare I say, between the low-priced Amazon ones and the high-priced Samsung ones, that we need someone to come in and disrupt tablets. So
yeah,
hopefully.
This tablet, by the way, the Panasonic tablet is $2,500. So if you want a rugged tablet running
cool.
Android 10 on a Snapdragon 660 processor with 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage, you're going to have to spend $2,500, $2,500 for that tablet.
Wow.
You're paying for the fact that it doesn't die. Well, it dies eventually, but it doesn't die from falling. Or so you hope. Unless it meets Burke's boot, and then it had no chance. Okay, it is that time. That's right. Almost the end of the show where we like to read our email of the week. Nice. Jonathan writes in, or actually he wrote in. He's not writing in at this moment, you see. He wrote in to say, I guess I contribute a bit to the overall Android numbers. I have 9 devices I use on a regular basis. I know, sad. I have my personal phone, the Pixel 4a 5G, my work phone, Samsung Galaxy S8 Active, Samsung S3 tablet, Samsung A8 tablet, Pixel 2 XL, which is his Harmony remote, Nexus 6, which is an alarm phone, LG G3, which is a media player, 2 Nexus 7 tablets, which are photo frames.
This is amazing.
It is. From the Pixel 2 XL down, they're all rooted and ROMmed, running semi-recent builds of Lineage OS. I guess I find uses for old devices. Heck, I have an OG Moto X, Samsung Galaxy S4, and 2 Galaxy Nexus. They're in the drawer that all work, but I can't find uses for them. I guess some of us use a few more devices than others. Bravo. You use those devices. You keep doing what you're doing because you're making sure that those devices just don't sit there and do no good. Although you are like one person that counts as 10 people in Google stats, but who cares about stats? Doesn't matter. It's unimportant. Pretty awesome.
That was impressive.
These are things that I always think like I would do, but I never actually end up doing. Like, oh, I've got that phone. Maybe I'll turn it into like a picture or that tablet picture frame.
It's a hobby. It becomes a hobby at the end of the day. It's something you have to. Yeah.
It's almost like building mechanical keyboards.
Yes.
Like I would love to spend the time to do that, but who has the time to do that? So.
I don't even have the time. I
write about it.
Spend all this money on a keyboard and it's like it doesn't fully work because I have to like fix a bunch of stuff on it because I rushed it.
Yep. There we go. So bravo to those of you who actually do this with your old devices. Jonathan, that is why you are our email of the week. All right. And that is it. We've reached the end of this episode of All About Android. A lot of fun was had the past hour and a little bit of extra minutes beyond the hour. Flo, good to have you back. What do you want people to know?
I am happy to be back, and I hate not being here, but I appreciate you all understanding. It's wild. I have a full-time job now. So,
yep.
What happens?
But speaking of that job, if you'd like to support me this week, I have up a review of the new Razer Black Widow V3 Mini. It's their new wireless mechanical gaming keyboard. You can go check out my review at gizmodo.com if you're interested.
Not just that, like lots of things. You're a writing machine at Gizmodo.
Yeah, it's a blog. I have to write every day.
Yeah.
You got to feed the beast. You got to keep it coming.
Oof. I don't know how you do it.
Always be writing.
I don't either, but
I mean, I suppose writing must be the kind of thing that the more you do it, I mean, as with anything, the more you do it, the easier it gets. You find your shortcuts and you find your hacks and whatever that make it work.
The trick is to write things you like. So I'm very fortunate. My editor encourages me to write about things I like.
Good.
Also, I write about what you know.
Yeah.
right? So lots of mechanical keyboard articles.
And Tamagotchi.
The comments might think I don't know, but I do know.
Well, there's
Don't
always
worry.
someone out there that thinks they know more than anyone else. So don't listen to them. They don't know what they don't know. Actually, they don't know what they know. So there we go.
There it is. Yeah. They don't know what they know. They don't know what they don't know. That's
All right. Thank you, Flo. And what about you, Ron?
Yeah, so you can follow me over on Twitter and on not on Facebook, on Twitter and on Instagram at RonXO. Also, go check out Scorebit at scorebit.io, where we're doing fun things with pinball. And we've got an app in the Google Play Store you can download for Android. It's awesome. Go play more pinball. But if you're looking for something else to read, tired. Oh my God, brain not working. If you're looking for something else to listen, head over to ifanboy.com, where you check out the latest Media Explode, where me and the guys are talking about, we go in depth on Tenet, the latest Christopher Nolan film, which is actually quite good. And we talk about other cool stuff that you should be listening to or watching or listening to. Good stuff. So, so go to ifanboy.com and check it out there.
Radical. Thank you, Ron. Awesome stuff, as always. Also, big thanks to Burke for muttering to me with the mic on or off.
Welcome.
Depends on the moment.
I missed that Burke muttering. Can't wait to experience it in person.
Also, big thanks to Victor, who's behind the scenes bringing this episode to you each and every week. Couldn't do it without Victor as well. As for me, I'm just here doing twit things. You can see me on the big show, This Week in Tech, from last week. It was me, Ian Thompson, Mike Elgin, and Leo all sitting around this table. First time since the pandemic, since actually like a month and a half before the lockdown began. Lisa and Leo were very cautious at that time. So anyways, it was a blast. We had a lot of fun. So you should check that out. Otherwise, yeah, I'm on Tech News Weekly and other things here at the network. And by the way, Club Twit, going strong. This is our ad-free subscription tier. So if you want to check it out, twit.tv/clubtwit. All of our shows, no ads. An exclusive Twit Plus podcast feed where you get just lots of like pre-show and post-show banter and special things that we do just for the Twit Plus feed. And then a members-only Discord access, $7 per month. And it's just a lot of fun. We're having a great time with it. So you should get in there. And hope to see you there, twit.tv/clubtwit. That is it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Always appreciate you coming back for more each and every week. You can find us at twit.tv/AAA. And everything that you need to know to subscribe is there. So do that, and we'll see you next time on All About Android. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you are interested in checking out all things smart home and Internet of Things, then you should check out Smart Tech Today, the podcast I, Micah Sargent, do with my co-host Matthew Casanelli. It's all about the smart home and improving your automations.